Right now, Pittsburgh's best sports show is about to begin. Call us or tweet us. We've got things to talk about on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call.
All right, thanks a lot, Jess, and thank you for tuning into the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. I'm Rich Walsh. I'll be joined by Chris Mueller in a matter of moments over at the 93.7 The Fan Cam, and we're going to be talking about the Steelers. Alex Highsmith, arrows up for him. He was limited at practice today, but it sounds like he's potentially going to play this Sunday at Cleveland. I think they need him despite Nick Herbig playing well right now, getting a couple strip sacks the last couple weeks. He's doing great with the off the edge there. But this adds some depth. Highsmith coming back. Also, the one concern I have this week is Calvin Austin potentially not making it out of concussion protocol and not playing, but he was limited as well today. So both guys were at least out there doing something, which is a good sign. I think the Steelers need both those guys to play, but I do think the Steelers, the 6.5-point favorite Steelers, Chris, I think they're going to walk the Browns this week, Sunday, at Acrisure.
Well, I think Alex Highsmith is going to play. I mean, I think he even said as much that, yeah, he's not going to be 100%. Nobody really is, but he's going to be good enough to go. I'd be shocked if he doesn't play. I'm not so optimistic at all about Calvin Austin. I thought he took a pretty vicious hit there. It's just one of the perils of being a $160, $165 in the NFL. You're just going to be more prone to get launched when somebody hits you coming full speed. But neither one of those guys I shouldn't say Austin's like a worry of mine. He's turned into a nice pass catcher for them. He's their team leader in touchdowns along with Freiermuth in terms of receiving touchdowns. But my worry in this game, if I have one, my concern is that, and you saw this, I think, on Monday Night Football, Jameis Winston at any point in time can throw the Browns into a game and or throw them out of a game. And sometimes he does the same thing, or both of those things within the same game, which he basically did against Denver. He threw them into the game, then he very quickly threw them out of the game. Then for the people that are concerned with such things, he ensured that the Broncos would cover with one of the worst interceptions you will ever see down by the goal line. So he's just a guy, I think, no coach. I don't even think fans like this. Fans like knowing sort of what they're going to get when they go into a game, right? Like, for better or worse, you knew that when the Steelers went to Cincinnati, I think Tomlin knew this. I think really the whole team knew this. Yeah, we're a good defense, but Joe Burrow's probably going to put 27 to 31 points on us. That's what he does to virtually everybody that he plays, and that's more or less exactly what the Bengals did. There's a certain predictability, right? You play the Chiefs, you know you got to probably go through Mahomes, possibly the referees, etc. I think with Jameis Winston, you're dealing with one of the true volatile characters in the NFL. I don't think it's easy to get a handle on what he might do in any given game. I think that uncertainty makes this an unusual and maybe uneasy contest to kind of look forward to.
I'm not concerned, though. I think the Steelers should have won that game in Cleveland. They just have obviously short weeks for the Steelers have bothered them. 0-4 up there in Cleveland on short weeks, so not good. Trends aren't good for the Steelers on short weeks. But the Browns haven't won here in a regular season since 2003. Jameis Winston is the quarterback. It doesn't seem like they really want to win there in Cleveland. They're kind of out of it right now. You might have a different opinion, but I think this Steelers offense is finding its stride right now. They had that letdown game. I like the way the offense looks. I think they're going to put up some points. By your thoughts, this potentially could turn into a shootout then.
I think it has the potential to be higher scoring, yeah. And it should be played in, I think I looked ahead at the forecast that I just saw Ray put up there before we got on the air, Richie, and I think it looked like Sunday actually is going to be mid-50s, maybe a little bit of moisture, maybe a little wet, but that shouldn't really deter the offenses unless it's an absolute downpour. I do think the Browns know that their best strategy here is to try to win by scoring a lot of points and just kind of let the chips fall where they may with Winston. I do think where the Steelers are way better equipped, and it started in earnest, I thought, in the second half of that Browns game, is just Russell Wilson's on a heater. I mean, that's the bottom line. The guy's on about a 6-quarter heater. He made 2 bad plays early in that Browns game in the first half that kind of resulted in a total net loss for the Steelers of 6 points. And then he was their best player for the last 30 minutes. He was their best player against Cincinnati. And if this keeps up, and I think he's playing behind an improving offensive line, if he keeps playing within structure and then still has a little bit of that magic when structure breaks down, they suddenly have a dimension that they haven't had in many, many, many years, well back into Ben Roethlisberger's career, and that makes them an extremely dangerous team that can beat you in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I'm going to get more into Russell Wilson here and talk a little bit more about him and what are they going to do in the future, and also about this Browns game. Give us a call, 412-575-2600 is the number. Back in 2 minutes.
You start ticking off the list of teams, and guess what? There maybe are like 2 other ones in the entire NFL.
Jets, Tennessee,
that are
basically, right?
Tennessee is like the main one, but again, they might think Will Levis is worth taking another shot on. And then, I don't know. I don't think you really have like a logical suitor for him where they're going to be saying, oh yeah, we really want to bring this guy in. And think of it this way too, and I don't always think this is the case, but if you're Russell Wilson and this year goes really well, let's say the Steelers even get at least to the divisional round, maybe they even get to the conference title game and they're very competitive, who knows, right? If you're him and you've put up good numbers here, your agent's got to be smart enough. You're a smart guy yourself if you're Russell Wilson. You know the rest of the league and what they're kind of looking to do. Does he want to be a bridge quarterback, or is he going to say, you know what? The grass is pretty green here. They're not going to lowball me to a ridiculous degree. This is actually the best spot for me. The more I think about it, the more I think that's a very plausible way that this starts to play out in the offseason.
I also think he wants to stay with a contender, too. He's not going to go looking for a Vegas or a Giants team, even if he wanted to be a bridge quarterback. I think he's in the point of his career that he wants to try to win another Super Bowl, and maybe the Steelers give him the best shot at doing that. All right, let's go back out to the phone lines. We got Rich out in Murraysville. How you doing, Rich?
Hey, guys. How are you?
Good. Thanks for calling.
So I thought I would address the guy who asked about what's wrong with Minka. If you watch the games closely, he starts out about 25 yards off the line of scrimmage, and then as soon as the ball's snapped, he runs backwards another 10 to 15. It's really hard to make plays when 90% of the passes are within 30 yards of the line of scrimmage. Mike Tomlin absolutely lives in his fears. He doesn't want to give up deep passes, and so he uses Minka Fitzpatrick as the first punt returner in history to play every down on defense.
Well, I mean, that's a good way to put it there, Rich. I definitely think he's a star of the defense. He should be making more plays. Even if Mike Tomlin puts him in bad positions, he needs to find a way to make plays. Plain and simple.
I mean, Hard Knocks showed us he's in those defensive meetings. He's the only player in these coaches' meetings about the defense. So one would imagine he's at least got some say in how he wants to be deployed. The funny thing is, Rich is saying Mike is living in his fears with this strategy, and I mean, it certainly looks like that, but it would make more sense if he had done that his whole tenure. But he didn't. He turned him loose like a weapon on defense his first year, the second they traded for him. It made more sense that they would do this with him as a last line of defense, and they wouldn't put him in playmaking positions when they were injured and they were banged up all over the place with all their other playmakers. They're not. This is a team that's flushed with guys in the front seven who can make plays and do make plays. And so when you have a surplus of that, or when you have a kind of an embarrassment of riches, I don't know why you wouldn't want to add on to it and make your defense even tougher to deal with by deploying him in more aggressive postures.
Let's go out to Stan and McCandless. How you doing, Stan?
Yeah, guys. Hey, if you guys can answer a question for me. We traded a fifth-round draft choice for a receiver that caught a touchdown pass against Washington. How come this guy never was targeted in our offense, and he was supposed to be our number 2 guy, number 2 receiver?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good question. I think we're all wondering the same thing, and it leads me to believe that maybe he isn't quite on board with the playbook, and they don't want to explain to him what to do in the huddle. But I think that they need to utilize this guy, and if Calvin Austin can't play, I mean, he's the first guy that I'm going to be looking towards.
I mean, it worked well enough when he had to come in for Austin in the Washington game, and Russ really did have to tell him what to do on the play, and then he went and scored a game-winning touchdown that could end up being one of the truly pivotal plays of their season. I mean, Richie, here's the question. How many different things does Mike Williams need to learn here in terms of his playbook? I'm not trying to oversimplify what is asked of an NFL wide receiver, but The guy is a go ball specialist. Hey, Mike, run a go route. All right, that didn't work. Mike, I want you to try another go route this time. I think they've got to let him loose a little bit more in this offense. The only answer I'm going to come up with here that probably won't satisfy people is, look at what Russ did against the Bengals. I mean, look what Austin does when he's healthy. I think they feel good about what they have in terms of like a committee behind George Pickens.
And he's also really good at contested catches. That's what I don't understand. You give up a draft pick. He's a guy that can help you, especially in the red zone. You struggled there for a little bit. At least target him. He has one target. At least target him. All right, we got to take a break. Back with more of your phone calls potentially. And to wrap things up, stay right there.